Welcome to the Double Dribble Podcast with Dubin and Dakhil on the RealGM Network. That's Jared Dubin, author of Last Night in Basketball. Make sure you subscribe to his newsletter. Get all the good stuff in your inbox because right now is the time to do it. Playoff basketball is going nuts. There's going to be things that you're going to miss. There's going to be things that he's going to see that's going to help to make you a smarter basketball fan. I'm Mo Dakhil, former video coordinator with the Clippers, Spurs, Team Australia, do videos on Offside, contributor on NBA TV, and you've heard me on other various podcasts. Before we start, I'm always bad at this. Rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you guys are doing all that on the RealGM feed. I'm obviously, if you're listening, you're already on the RealGM feed, but I just want to make sure you're following, doing all that good stuff, and give us the 5-star review. Let them know you like what we're doing here on the Double Dribble Podcast. Jared, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. We probably should not have said for so many series that teams were drawing dead,
Dude,
because chaos broke out in Game 2s.
I could not be more delighted. There's one where I'm a little bit sad, but I couldn't be more delighted with the fact of, hey, this has gone after Saturday and Sunday. It's been a complete change. And we're going to get into it. We're going to just talk Game 2s, and we'll do a bit of news at the very end. So I don't even want to kind of waste time. Let's work in reverse order. And let's go with the last game of the night, which was Lakers versus Rockets. Kevin Durant comes back. You would think the offense would look a little bit better. And it didn't. It just didn't. Like, Jared, what were your thoughts when you watched that game?
Honestly, the same thoughts that I had in Game 1. This was a pathetic performance from the Rockets. You get KD back, and you have a 106 offensive rating against this Lakers team, despite the fact that he had 17 offensive rebounds. Like, it's just unconscionable. KD comes back, has 9 turnovers in 41 minutes. I didn't think he looked full strength throughout the game. There were some times where he was looking a little bit slow out there, but still, 9 turnovers, 7 of them led directly or indirectly to Lakers baskets or fouls on the other end. He was driving himself into traffic. He was getting ripped by Marcus Smart, who was unbelievable in this game. Makes 5 threes, has 5 steals, 7 assists. He was fantastic on both ends of the court. You didn't get as much out of DeAndre Ayton as you did in Game 1, but I thought Jackson Hayes was pretty good. Luke Kennard goes off again. LeBron what more can you say about this guy? He is making me feel old because I'm 38 and he's 41, and it just makes no sense that he's doing what he's doing out there. But just another unbelievable performance from him. Really what it comes down, I'm just so disappointed in the Rockets, you know what? I'm not even disappointed in them because it's hard to be disappointed because the expectations were not all that high. But this was a pathetic performance from them again, and that's really just all there is to say about them at this point. In the middle of the second quarter, I was like, I'm done with this team. I don't need to see any more of them. Of course, they ripped off an 11-0 run right after that, but then you come back in the second half, and just more nonsense from them.
It is I was shocked KD played 41 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it coming back from the bruised knee and everything, but it's also a sign of, like, they absolutely need him to play that many minutes just because who else do they have that's an offensive threat? I was surprised with the...
Speaking of minutes and an offensive threat, Reed Shepherd does not start, gets 11 minutes. There was a shot that he missed in, I think, early in the fourth quarter or late in the third quarter, and you could see Ime was like, all right, this guy's done. Like, I don't understand how your offense is so bad and you don't play one of the 2 guys on your entire team that can shoot. I know he went over 4, but it just mind-boggling stuff.
Even if he has a bad shooting night, like, you need him on the floor because he's just a relative threat in terms of that. But, like, I just think my thing is just I'm done with Ime Udoka as a coach. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this year has really been enlightening. And not in the way of, like, and I get it. This isn't that they thought they were going to have Fred VanVleet. They lose Steven Adams, all that. But he's not really put any sort of offensive game plan together. like nothing. And I'm pissed off at myself for picking the Rockets over the Lakers. And a lot of it was just like, hey, like, and I didn't expect it to be close. And obviously that was before we heard the story of KD's knee contusion. But like, there is just no offensive symmetry, like concept. It's just go do.
They don't run anything
at all. And I know this was his MO with Boston, but it was like, okay, cool. And then, but like his defensive adjustments too aren't that great. Like, it's just, honestly, it's like he tries to coach with intimidation. And that's it. And it's like that wears out real quickly. And I'm astonished with how bad they've looked and how good the Lakers have looked. Like, going into it, the Rockets were on a nice run coming into the playoffs. The Lakers looked awful without Luka and Reeves. It was watching the way they kind of and then it's been a complete switch for both teams, like just a flip-flop of where they're at. And credit to the Lakers, they've been great. They've taken advantage of the opportunities. You know, the Marcus Smart part of the game was unbelievable. LeBron, forget like playing 40 minutes, like he has sort of just been a great job just picking apart the Rockets with his passing and with his opportunities. And then when he needs to, okay, I'm going to go score. And then when I'm going to go score, it's going to be a reverse jam. Like, it's like there is so many things I'm watching it going like, man. And I get it. Like, the Rockets are probably going to make a big move. Like, this is the team that's going to panic and throw everything they have to get Giannis. Mm-hmm. Like, that's going to be my prediction. I don't know if they'll get him, but they're going to be in the race to do it and try to get him and pair him with KD. But I couldn't be more astonished with how poorly coached the Rockets are right now. And it's a vibe of he hates the team, and I'm almost positive they all hate him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that their effort throughout the game was just lacking too. I know they full court pressed a couple of times where they were trying to get the ball out of the ball handler's hands and put a little bit of pressure on them so that you could try to force them into turnovers. But I thought exemplified late in the game, after KD's ninth turnover of the game, there was like a minute left or 50 seconds left or something like that. The Lakers push the ball up the court. They're in semi-transition. Smart gets the ball on the left wing. KD sort of, and it's a 5-point game at this point. You can still come back theoretically in 50 seconds. KD sort of half-heartedly comes out to Smart on the perimeter, doesn't get his hands up, just standing with his hands on his side, and LeBron backcuts Tari Eason, who's just not paying attention, and gets the dunk to put the Lakers up 7, and the game's essentially over. I thought that play has exemplified the effort that we've seen from the Rockets through the first 2 games.
Yeah, it's been pretty, like, stunning is kind of the word. And almost unwatchable. Like, which is hard to do for playoff basketball, but it's like, you already midway through the second quarter, get this team off my screen, right? Like, this is like, it's just me going like, oh, we got to watch the Rockets game. Like, it's, all right, it's unwatchable.
We got to watch Şengün play in a crowd and try to drop hook shots over Ayton and Hayes. Like,
and I
got
and every
go one-on-one every possession down the court. Like,
just run some offense. Just, you know what? Just do the simplest thing. Run Princeton set. Run a flex cut. Just do a simple thing. Run floppy, for God's sake. Like, just, granted, floppy, you probably need some guys that can shoot. But, you know, that's
screens. I feel like it's a bad screen setting team, too.
It's just impossibly bad to me. And I'm just kind of stunned by it. Like, you know, the 9 turnovers, KD with just 12 shots, partly because of the 9 turnovers. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of just blown away with how miserable they are right now to watch. And I feel for them in that, like, I feel for the Houston fans in that sense too. But, like, this is just rough. Like, they are trying to just speed to the off season, right? Like, they are trying to get there as fast as they can, and they might be just 2 more games. Yeah. And the interesting part of it, man, like, if the Lakers move on and they're up 2-0, odds are in their favor. if they get Luka and Reeves back in time for the next series, could be interesting. If you're not watching on YouTube, which you should, Jared just made a face of just like a get the fuck out of here look. Just saying,
I'm not there yet for them against Oklahoma City. I will say also,
I'm not saying they beat OKC. I'm just saying it could be interesting.
Maybe. Losing Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams cannot matter this much. Like, if that is what dooms your team, then your team is poorly constructed to begin with. And it is poorly constructed to begin with. They basically only had two guards coming into the season with VanVleet and Shepherd. And you lose one, and the coach doesn't trust the other. All of a sudden, you're a team with no guards. And we've talked about this before. If you don't have a point guard, you are not going to be good offensively, just flat out. Like, if you have someone like LeBron or Luka or Jokic, who is functionally a point guard despite not being the point guard in name, then that's a different story. But if you're a team like the Rockets where you don't have a point guard who can organize your offense and get you into sets, which the Rockets don't run sets anyway, but get you into your offense, it's not necessarily that you're drawing dead, but it's pretty close to drawing dead offensively in the modern NBA. They don't have a point guard. They can't run the double big lineups, or they don't trust the double big lineups without Steven Adams, which was a key for them. So they're not as good on the offensive glass. I mentioned the screen setting before. Adams is one of the best screen setters in the league. You don't have him to sort of free guys away from the ball. Not that they run things away from the ball anyway. But
I think the other thing was they must have thought Şengün can do enough creation for us. But they also don't put him in spots to create. I like Şengün. I don't think he that would have been my assessment of like Şengün's going to be our playmaker. He's going to be our Jokic. Because I also don't think people understand how hard it is to have your center to be your playmaker. Like the way it is with you. You have to be Jokic levels. And for people to understand Jokic levels, it's a stratosphere different. It's so many levels higher than what Şengün is. Like we joked and called him Baby Jokic or the Turkish Jokic, and we ignore how hard it is for the center to be your primary playmaker. Not the center of your offense, but your primary playmaker, which is different because that gets everybody else involved. That's making sure, Jabari hasn't had a touch in 4 possessions. Let me try to set him up. Let me, like that's, and I'm not saying it's like Şengün doesn't have that level of smarts, but they don't, it is hard to do. That's something that point guards are supposed to do. Right. And then on top of that, your coach has to help you to put you in positions to do those things. And they simply don't. I am astonished by just how poorly coached this team is from Ime. And disappointed, really. Like it's honestly, and I'll say it again. It's like he tried to run this team by fear. Like, you know what? He'd be a great college coach because he can probably get away with it with college kids. But like, I don't think this is really something else.
Yeah, it's a poorly constructed team where, for the coach that they have specifically, it's poorly constructed too. But he's been dealt not great hands, and he's played it poorly. Like, you can have not great hands or bad hands and play them well so that you get more out of your team than is available to you, but they have not done that.
Yeah, if this team was like fighting and just, damn, guys, they just don't have the guys. Okay, like that's a different story, but they don't even look together. And that's a thing that's kind of a bit frustrating. And, I'm sure we're going to get a whole bunch of, they should go get Giannis, and this is going to be the thing, and they're gonna throw in all they can to go get Giannis, and we'll see what happens, and hope Fred VanVleet comes back healthy, and they'll be ready to roll with that. And I'm blown away though, and credit to the Lakers. I think we're focused too much on the Rockets. I want to talk a little bit about the Lakers before we move on, because I just thought overall, good game plan, solid understanding. All right, we don't have our 2 leading playmakers and scorers in Luka and Reeves. Obviously, we have one of the best ever in LeBron, who's on the downside of his career. But, we're also not going to tax him. And you said it in the beginning. Marcus Smart was absolutely phenomenal in this game.
Yeah, I'll just say it, I was wrong about how much he was going to be able to bring to this team. Straight up.
You and me both, dude. You and me both. And to be honest, even though Ayton didn't have the same impact as game 1, I thought he was still good. I thought he still flustered Şengün quite a bit. I was pretty impressed with the way they got it going. And then Hayes comes in. Like, just in general. The other thing, too, the vibe on this team, completely different than what's going on in Houston.
Yeah.
Where it's like they all kind of are like, fuck it, let's band together, let's go. Let's put this together. And I think it's pretty interesting when you see the way they sort of have built themselves and propped themselves up. I don't know how many games Marcus Smart's going to go 5 for 7 from 3. But, you know, like, I like what they're doing. And credit JJ, they're still running stuff. It's not all just high pick and roll. It's not all just, hey, we're going to put this in LeBron's hand and he's going to... They're still running their stuff. And it's, you know, I think JJ has a really good offensive bag. So
I'm glad
like
you brought up JJ. There was a bunch of stuff on socials last night about, like, how did JJ Redick not get more love for Coach of the Year? We did bring him up briefly when we were discussing the awards at the end of the season as a guy who should be mentioned alongside the others, but not necessarily truly in the mix with the top 2 or 3 guys. Just a guy who should be mentioned. But, yeah, I mean, he's done a great job throughout this year, especially in the second half of the season. 2 years in a row in the second half of the season, they've changed things and gotten better. And that's a big credit to him.
And they've changed, like, mid-season with things.
Right.
Like, in terms of the adjustments, like, it's fun to make fun of JJ because he gets so mad. Right? Like, he's that friend of yours that gets so mad, and so what do? You egg him on and, you know, tweak him a little bit so he gets kind of frustrated and mad. But, like, he's a really good coach. Like, I want to give him a lot of credit for that. Like, I don't think he should have gotten Coach of the Year honors. That's also... social media is basically Laker Mafia half the time. But I think he definitely has done a good job, and he's a good coach. Like, in the way I look at it is, I've been impressed. I was impressed last year. I've been, and to be honest, they flamed out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's adjusted and granted, he's their opponent this time around, but he's adjusted from what they were in the playoffs last year to this year, and it's been pretty interesting to see it kind of evolve. So, like, good credit for him. I think that's enough of the series. It's 2-0. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I still think Houston's going to get a win. They might surprise us and get 2. We've been wrong, you know, quite a bit.
Yeah, especially about this series where I think we both had the Rockets in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So obviously,
you know,
could be in for some surprises.
Could be stuff. Let's go into the next surprise. This is the game that made me. It was a fun watch. Made me sad. The Blazers take game 2, and it's not. We'll start with this caveat from the beginning. Wemby goes down, falls, uses his face to brace himself for the fall, and gets a bad concussion.
Yeah.
And out the rest of the game.
I will say there's no such thing as a not bad concussion.
You know what? That's a good point. All concussions are bad. We should make that a poster. But I think the you know, and he's in concussion protocol. There are many steps to be able to play after that. Now it's like 48 hours. He can't do anything. There's you know, you have to get checked out multiple times. All these things. Game 3 is on Friday. It is not inconceivable that he plays.
I think it's pretty inconceivable that he plays.
Oh, you think he's for sure out? There's a chance, but it's slim. So
He'd have to pass all of the stuff the day of the game because he can't do anything for 48 hours.
48 hours, right. So we'll see, but it's going to be a big, like, that's a big one there. And then, but it shouldn't take away from what the Blazers were doing in this game. Because if you weren't a Scoot Henderson fan before this game, you better be now, because holy crap, he was phenomenal in this game before Victor went out, after Victor went out, and it was super impressive. I forget, did he finish with 31? I know he had 31 late.
31.
5 of 6 from 3 or 5 of 7 from 3? I don't have the stat sheet up.
5 of 9 from 3.
5 of 9
17 from the field.
Like, he was I'll be honest, he was the best player on the floor in this game. Straight away.
He was. He was phenomenal on both ends too. There were a couple plays in the first quarter. He broke up the lob to Wemby from, can't remember if it was Fox or Castle, which nobody breaks up a lob to Wemby, and he did it. Then he had a block on, again, I can't remember if it was Fox or Castle coming in from the weak side. He had a bunch of different defensive plays in the game. He was just really good on both ends of the court. You don't necessarily expect him to shoot well, and he did. Like I said, 5 of 9 from 3. Gets to the line a few times. He only had 1 rebound and no assist, but he was so good attacking the basket, and especially from 3, that I didn't really necessarily care about that. And on the other end, pressuring up the court, the Blazers have been one of the biggest pressure teams in the league this year. Mm-hmm. Fox and Castle go a combined 13 of 36 from the field. I thought that he and Drew and Kamara were all fantastic defensively. Robert Williams, fantastic defensively. Once he came in the game late, after Klingon got hurt, nobody was going to the rim and getting all the way to the rim. He had a big corner 3. He had 3 offensive rebounds. He had 4 assists. He had a couple of blocks. They were plus 13 in his minutes. He was terrific. Like, just a great all-around performance from those 2 guys in particular.
Yeah, it was really impressive, like, just seeing the one adjustment in the game plan from Tiago Splitter, who apparently they only want to pay like $10 a year. Drew Holiday on Wemby, I thought he really affected him a lot. Like, I thought he really kind of pushed Wemby out, really kind of, and no shocker there. Drew's been doing this to centers for so long in that sense. I think it was a lot of he put a lot of physical effort and stress on Wemby that led to a lot of like just uncomfortableness for Wemby. I think Wemby would have figured it out by the end of the game, but that was an important thing. We got to talk a little bit about the Spurs collapse, though, because they were winning this game down the stretch, and it's what we've talked about before. They blow leads. They lose games where they have double-digit leads, and it was kind of shocking to see them sort of just completely fall apart on offense. It hurt. Harrison Barnes went out with an injury. At one point, it looked like Dylan Harper got hurt. I think it's, like it was, they kind of started to drop a little bit, but their offense completely fell apart. Really, Fox couldn't get anywhere. It's what you're talking about with Williams kind of protecting the paint, but they had no flow to it whatsoever. I'll say this. I thought that Vassell 3 was going in, though, to tie it.
I did, too. And, yeah, the blown leads, we mentioned it before. They had 19 losses after leading by 11 or more points during the regular season, which I think might have been the most in the league. But they went 58-19 in those games. So they were up by at least 11 points in 77 games, which is pretty incredible. 11 to 15 points. Or, sorry, that's the wrong side. They lost 11 games.
I was going to say 19 was high. I thought it was a little.
No, it was 11 to 15 points in either direction. So ahead by 11 or more, 52-11. So they were up by 11 or more in 63 of their 82 games, which is a lot. Yeah, the 77 out of 82 would make no sense. That's impossible.
Yeah, I was like, damn, that's like every loss.
Yeah, 63 of 82 makes a lot more sense. But still, yeah, I mean, the offense down the stretch, Castle wasn't, like, he was just off in this game. He goes 6 for 17 from the field, and that puts so much pressure on Fox to be the offense down the stretch of the game. And there was a stretch in the third quarter where he had a couple of baskets and then a couple of free throws. But for the most part, he was off too. Again, the guards really bothered all of those guys. Like you mentioned, Drew on Wemby early in the game. He was just pushing him out away from where he wanted to go. And then on the play where he gets the concussion, he pulls the chair on him. And that obviously leads to a drastically different game than it might have been otherwise.
And we're not saying, like, perfectly legal. Like, nothing dirty with what
like
Drew
pulling
did.
The chair is a great defensive play.
I do want to bring up this, and I hate being this guy. That was an atrocious jump ball call.
Oh, yeah, he caught the ball.
And then they say it was a bad toss. I went back and watched it. It was perfectly fine. I was stunned when they Mitch Johnson, I don't know if he had any quotes after the game about that in particular. All the quotes I kept seeing was just about Victor being in concussion protocol. But that might have...
And about there was some stuff floating around, he broke his jaw and went to the hospital. People were just making that up. That did not happen.
Yeah, I am worried about his orbital bone. But, like, that's where he fell, was on that more than his jaw. But whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, he was incensed in that. And that situation where they get the jump ball again, they win the tip, they get a foul, and then off the inbounds, Scoot gets another 3 and makes it a 1-point game.
Yep.
I don't blame refs or whatever. The Spurs had plenty of chances. They blew it. But that is a call I would be on the phone with the NBA going, what the hell is this? And this is the playoffs, and this is when they send, trust me, as a video guy, this is when you're sending a million clips into the refs asking for to the league going like, we need clarification on this. Why was this a thing? That's one, I think, and he was pissed after the game. He was yelling at the refs pretty much from that point on, and I think he's rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, I will say a jump ball clip is probably not going to benefit you through the rest of the series. How many more jump balls are you really going to have for them to keep an eye on something like that? But any advantage you can get out of it by having the refs pay closer attention to something that's going on for you, then you got to at least try it.
Yeah, it was just a wild, like, when it happened, I was like, they're redoing it? I go, like, that's an automatic, that should be, like, that was a big one there. Because if it's the Spurs ball and they're up 4, if they score on that possession, kind of starts to put a little bit of a dent into that run the Blazers were going on. The other thing that was impressive about this game for the Blazers, did this really without Denny. I thought the Spurs did a great job on Denny.
Bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
No, I thought they did a really good job on Denny after what he had a great game 1. I think the way they kind of, slowed him down in game 2 was really impressive. And for the Blazers to still come up with the win, again, something you're just like, all right, cool. And if I'm the Spurs, I might just be like, let's see if Scoot can do that again.
Yeah, let's see if Scoot can do it again. Let's see if Robert Williams can do it again. Let's see if you can win a game without Denny being really good again. He only goes 5 for 13, only gets to the line 5 times, and he only plays 30 minutes because he was in foul trouble for a lot of the second half. Are you going to be able to stop Denny from having a really good game again if Wemby is out for game 3? Luke Cornett's a good rim protector, but he's not as fearsome, obviously. You're not going to stop him from going downhill.
I mean, Luke Cornett's wingspan is only 7 foot something. Wemby's is 90 feet. Like, it's not
Luke Cornett reverse dunk and oh my God!
I thought that was like, I was like, oh, they fine. They're going like I was like, they're gonna be fine. Cornett played a great game. It was a fun game. It was fun to watch. And this is also, we should remember something here, because we're all like expecting the Spurs to win the series should Wemby. Well, we were assuming Wemby's health. Now we'll have to see what happens if he plays game 3. If he misses multiple games, Spurs are really in trouble. But like, both teams are young. Both teams really are inexperienced in the playoffs and trying to get their feet wet. So there is going to be some of that back and forth with the two of them. One thing I'll say for the Spurs looking ahead to game 3, it is a lot different going in knowing you don't have Victor if he's not going to play versus you lose him mid-game, right? Like, you can change your strategies, you can adjust your things. It's a lot easier in terms, doesn't mean they're going to win, but just puts them in a better situation. And again, they built the lead largely without him. They beat them at the end of March or towards the end of the season without Wemby. Like, they can do this. It's just going to be a lot harder without him.
Yeah, I don't think Wemby played in any of the games against the Blazers during the regular season, if I'm remembering correctly. But they were good without him all year. They went 10-5 during that stretch that he missed games, if I'm remembering correctly. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it was something along those lines. So they're able to get wins without him, and I would expect that they would be able to get at least one in Portland if he misses both games.
Yeah, and then it's just a longer series, tougher series for what they go, and for them, if he's going to miss both games, they need to extend the series. Is the most important thing for them going forward. Let's go to the first game of the day.
Let's take a quick break before we do that.
Good call. We'll be right back. And we're back, folks. So we're going to go to the first game. This might have been the most surprising result.
Might have been?
Okay, so this was the most surprising result of the day. Because, holy crap. The Sixers came out after getting their asses kicked in game one. Where it literally, we were like, yo, dead in the water. They got no chance. This thing's over. Sweep. Move on. Let's see what they do in the offseason. I'm not a Nick Nurse guy. I got to give Nick Nurse credit. I thought they had a great game plan on both ends of the floor. I thought they did a good job early on saying it's not just going to be VJ. It's not just going to be Tyrese. We're going to get Paul George involved early and try to get him going so we can add a little bit more stress to the Celtics defensively. I thought defensively they were just like, we're not guarding Derek White from three. We're just going to leave him from three. We're going to let him shoot from three. He's not shooting well this season. True to form, went 2 of 10 from three. I thought there was a lot of smart things that they did in this game. And then this was the VJ Edgecombe game. Whew. Tyrese was great, but this was the VJ Edgecombe game. And I was like, God damn, he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something. He was the 8th rookie ever with 30 points and 10 rebounds in a playoff game. And I think the first since Tim Duncan. So that's pretty damn impressive. He was phenomenal on both ends of the court, I thought. Maxey, late in the game with the pick and rolls, rejecting screens, beating the drop coverage, was really good. He only goes, I think, 11 for 28 from the field, but 5 for 12 from three, 29 points, 9 assists. The Paul George post-ups early in the game to get the offense loosened up were really important. And then the defense throughout the game. Like, you can set your watch for the Celtics where if they shoot 38% from three or better, we've talked about this before, they had one loss during the regular season when they shot 38% from three or better. When they shoot south of 38% from three, they were around 500. They go 26% from three in this game, 13 of 50. I don't have a problem with the 50 attempts, but I think the way they got to a bunch of those attempts where it was a lot of early clock threes, step back threes, we've seen them get into this kind of mode before where they get into a lot of ISO, a lot of we're going to get threes because that's what we do instead of creating the threes off the dribble through drive and kick. We saw that a lot in the Knicks series last year, especially in the first 2 games where they were blowing those leads. I thought it was a lot of that in this game too.
Yeah, I do have a problem with the 50 because your point of how they got there.
Right.
I don't have a problem when they shoot 50 threes and it's 50 good threes, right? And there's going to be times where there's going to be some bad shots. I just felt as a whole, they were too focused on just getting threes. Mm-hmm. And to their credit, to the Sixers' credit, there's a great possession. I want to say it was Tyrese going on the closeout. He recognizes it's Derek White. If he closes out to Derek White, it's a swing to Sam Hauser in the corner. And instead, he swings to take away he rotates to take away the swing pass, and we'll let you shoot. We just don't want it to go there. Yeah. And it's and they again perfectly fine with that. I don't
Even that
think
said, Hauser and Pritchard go a combined 2 for 12 from three. When you get that, it's a much different team than when those guys are hitting their shots.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I'm just saying, in the sense of I felt like they understood how they wanted to attack them. Mm-hmm. And I think they and were willing to live with certain shots. And they got nothing from Peyton Pritchard. 0 for 4 from 3, 2 of 8. They got nothing from the bench. I thought Andre Drummond for the Sixers, coming off the bench, just monster game. And it's not a lot, the numbers aren't crazy, but just being there physically and putting pressure just on the rim and making sure you have to box out, got 3 offensive rebounds, just all that stuff put a lot of pressure on the Celtics. It was a really impressive performance that I did not think the Sixers had in them.
No, and Drummond knocks down another 3, starts the second half for Adembona again. I thought that he outplayed Vucevic pretty significantly coming off the bench. I don't know why I just completely blanked on what I was about to say, but
you had a moment of fear, just deer in the headlights. I was like, is he okay?
Vucevic did have 9 points off the bench, but I thought defensively was unsurprisingly not up to the task, and obviously gives up some offensive rebounds to Drummond too.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with the Vooch Boston Celtics run. Like,
I would like to see more Luka Garza instead of Vucevic, I think.
Yeah, and even then, I'm still not going to be that excited about it. I think their big man, backup big man situation is not great, and I think they'll end up slowly start morphing into we're going to go with Tatum at the 5
Yeah.
type situations, and I think that's kind of I think that's going to help them offensively because it's going to put a lot of pressure on other defenses to have to deal with it. But I think, when you look at it, it's just like I also was sort of disappointed with the Celtics effort. So the Sixers came out with like, yo, they embarrassed us. Our backs are against the wall. Like, we are not. What happened in game 1 was completely unacceptable. Boston rolled in. It felt like, yeah, we can do it again.
Right.
This will be easy. And they rolled in with the attitude we had in describing game 1. Mm-hmm. Like, let's just be honest, right? And that, I'll take the blame on my end of like, yeah, totally dismiss the Sixers.
It's our fault. It's our fault that the Celtics lost.
No, I'm not taking that part. I'll just say we totally took the Sixers a little more lightly than we should. But like, I expect Boston not to. And especially with the psycho coach that they have in Joe Mazzulla. And I mean psycho in the most endearing of terms. Because I do think he's a psycho, and I mean he is so fanatical about the way he wants them to play. I was shocked with the way they kind of came out, not flat, but just sort of like, hey, it's a regular season game. Instead of like, yo, we could put them on their heels. Let's go up to we should beat the crap out of this team. It was a really kind of effort sort of lacking. And I thought we were going to get it. That dunk Jaylen Brown had to start the game was, oh, boy, like, oof is the word, right? Like, wow. Yeah. Like, that made me, sitting in the couch, like, whoa. And I think
Mazzulla's favorite movie, they needed to be the not fucking around crew, and they were very much not that in this game.
Yeah.
Some of that, I think, is you usually get a lot of energy from guys like Pritchard and Shireman, and you didn't get that in this game. Shireman only played 11 minutes anyway, but you didn't get the usual craziness from the bench that you normally get from those guys.
Yeah, and again, credit just the Sixers. I got to give them enough. It was so fun watching Edgecombe.
Oh, yeah.
It was flying all over the place, knocking down big shots. Like, it was all of the things that he was doing. Defensively, like you said, he was just everywhere. It was a really impressive performance from the young guy.
Yeah. I will say one thing about Edgecombe. He gets called for a lot of travels. Like, I think he's gotten called for at least one in consecutive games. I think he had 2 in game 1, which I don't know what's going on with that, but he's going to be just fine. Like I said that during the game, like he gets called for a bunch of travels, and someone said, yeah, he's working on his stuff, but he'll get over it. And I was like, yeah, he's going to be totally fine. It's not a big criticism. Something that I noticed.
Yeah, it's we're going to be fine. But I'll be curious to see if the Sixers can replicate it. I don't know if they can. I think Boston will come out with a little bit more attitude in game 3 of like, yeah, we shouldn't have lost this game at home too, in particular.
Yeah. I will say, what do you think the chances are we get Embiid back at some point in the next couple games? They said he's like doing ramp up physical activity. And would that change things for you? I don't know if it does necessarily for me because I can't see him being full strength.
Well, I think it helps. I think Embiid at 70% helps.
Oh, of course.
Over like, just your rotations, right? Like, it basically, I think, moves Bona out of the rotation.
Yeah.
He starts. Drummond comes off the bench. I think just helps them get to the free throw line, which is the big thing, right? And that will help them in the series. They only went to the line 11 times in the game, which is it's such a low number. Like, it's to the point that I had to double check it, in that way. Shot it terribly, by the way. 6-11 from the free throw line. Do better, Philly. But I think that
is a low foul team, to be fair. I think they were sixth in opponent free throw rate. And I think Philly was a pretty low free throw rate team too.
But that's because Embiid wasn't in for a lot of those games, right? Like when Embiid's on the floor, he is going to draw. He's going to get at least 6 free throws.
Oh no, they were 7th in the league in free throw rate. I don't know where I got that they were a low free throw rate team from.
I bet you if you did the splits of when Embiid plays versus when he doesn't, you would see a massive difference. I think the interesting side of it all was just the way I think with Embiid coming, I'm not sure how I feel about it because I don't know. He'll help, but I don't know how much is the way I want to kind of
look like. It's hard to say.
It's really hard, and I'm not holding my breath for him to come back. If he comes back, he comes back. But it does take him a longer time to ramp up than most guys. Maybe he's going to be a little bit more urgent with the playoffs being on the line and everything. But I think the real antithesis is they have to continue to play with this energy. Even if he comes back, they have to continue to play with this kind of frenetic energy. I don't want them to lose posting up Paul George because I think that was a big thing. Yeah, I think that really mattered. Early. Yeah. I think that kind of set the tone a little bit early on, and I think that was big for them. Let's go to the games on Monday night. Because Monday night was insane. And we'll go through this again, reverse order.
I would say, I don't know that we need to talk about Cavs Raptors. Let's go to the 2 games that were, legitimately competitive and surprising.
Okay. Well, Denver, Minnesota. Wow. What a game. What a fun game that was. It was really impressive. Like, first off, this felt like that Game 7 that Minnesota won in Denver a few years ago. Looks like Denver's going to blow them out early. They come crawling back in.
19-point lead.
Another 19-point lead. Apparently, Denver's only blown 2 19-point leads in the. I saw some stat on social media and didn't do my job of verifying it, but only blown 2 19-point leads in the playoffs at home, both to Minnesota. So that's it. It tells you one thing. The Wolves are so comfortable playing in Denver. Mm-hmm. They're not really Denver is not really a thing that they're worried about, whether we have to go there and get wins. They're confident in that they can do that. What was so impressive about it was just I loved the way Ant played, getting off the ball quickly when the doubles came, not forcing things, playing, just smart basketball, leading the swing threes, swing tackle closeout, Dante DiVincenzo knocking down big threes, just across the board the way they played. I was super impressed with that game in the way they approached it after they gave up the lead.
Yeah, I would say a couple things. In the reverse of Game 1, the first stretch of non-Jokic minutes is really where Minnesota got going, where we saw in Game 1 that's where the Nuggets got into their rhythm. That said, when Jokic comes back in the fourth quarter, Denver only scores 9 points in 8 minutes the rest of the game. That is so uncharacteristic and obviously unacceptable as you're blowing your lead. Jokic passed up a couple of floaters in the middle of the lane and turned it over both times. I thought Jamal Murray was gassed down the stretch, where some of that is he played 43 minutes. Some of that is J.D. McDaniels hounding him all over the floor. Rudy, again, fantastic defensively throughout the game. There was just so much going on for them. You didn't get as much from Hardaway or not from Hardaway. He had more than in Game 1. But Bruce Brown I didn't think was as impactful as in Game 1. Spencer Jones comes in, plays 10 minutes, really does nothing. Christian Brown only hits 1 3 in this game. Jokic, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon go a combined 3 for 17 from 3. They were very comfortable letting Jokic shoot from 3, which is not surprising given how he has struggled from 3 over the second half of the season. Just a lot went wrong, I thought, for Denver offensively down the stretch.
It was a lot of Tim Hardaway down the stretch. And I get it with, they want his shooting. Cam Johnson's not shooting well and things like that. I still thought Cam, despite the shooting numbers from three, I still thought he was pretty good in the game. Not great, but like I worry more defensively with that. Not that I think Cam's been great on that end either, but the other thing, the stuff that showed the most is like they really miss Peyton Watson because they need his defense against Ant. One thing's clear. Anthony Edwards has no problem against Aaron Gordon. Nope. He doesn't slow up against Gordon at all when he switches onto him or when he hedges on the pick and roll. He just attacks him over and over again. I think that was a fun, or that's a very big point that I think people are going to kind of miss just because I don't know how many people are aware how good a defender Watson is. And I think that's going to be a thing that is really hurting them because he would be in the lineup at the end of games and help, and the way he's kind of blown up offensively would be good. But with him out, it's a hard run there because nobody's going to guard Christian Braun.
No.
Nobody's going to guard him.
Watson is so much better at guarding down the positional spectrum than Aaron Gordon is, who is more equipped to guard bigger guys.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of their the big loss for everything that they have. And I think they're really just in a tough spot with what they have to do defensively. And it's a problem. Like, I just think they need to – the other thing, too, and we got to say this, Gobert's been great the past two games.
Phenomenal
His defense on Jokic, it allows them to not double Jokic, which is why he's not able to get the assists out. He's not able to make all the passes that he wants to make. He's not able to kind of lead to the give the opportunities to the Nuggets offense in the way. I think they got away a little bit too from their three-man action, the horns action, the elbow actions and stuff with Jokic. I think they need to get back to that more. I think the pick and roll is not working. I think because a lot of it is Jokic is popping a lot, and that's just not a threat. You said it already. He's just not shooting well from three since he's come back from the injury. Very low number of threes this series already after 2 games, and it's like they're fine with that. When he pops, they're going to be fine with that. That works for them, for the Wolves defensively. I think they need to kind of get back to their running of offense before they just dive into just complete Murray, Jokic, high pick and roll.
You got to get to more of the short roll stuff too, where Jokic is in the middle of the lane and can either take his floater or kick it out to one of those guys, because you have to sort of rotate over. And if they're going to leave the shooters open, then you can at least get good looks for them, and maybe they can knock them down better than they did in this game. I think we also got to talk about the Jamal Murray play at the end of the game where he comes off the pick and roll from Jokic. He has an open three, but he dribbles inside the line and takes a step back 22-footer when they're down by 3 points. That can't happen either.
It was like he went for a quick 2, but it was neither quick and it wasn't a good 2, and it wasn't what you needed, right?
It was
like
the worst 2 you can take.
It was pretty bad with that, and it was just a bad game from him. Like, I just didn't think he was really in tune. I think I saw a stat during the fourth quarter where, like, at one point him and Jokic were combined 1 of 10 in the fourth. Like, it was pretty nasty and gnarly for the way they were playing. I think this is the stuff they need to clean up, because give Minnesota credit, man. This is a tough-ass team. Randall, by the way, super physical in this game, and I think it was the physicality they needed. Like, that physicality, that aggression, exactly what they needed when he was going to work there, and I thought that was pretty big.
Yeah, Jamal had 26 points a minute into the second half and finished with 30. So not good down the stretch. He was on fire early in the game. He got a couple of 4-point play opportunities, and I was like, hey, I don't think Jamal is going 7 for 22 tonight. He winds up going 11 for 25.
Well, he didn't go 7 to 22, Jared. Ultimately, though, this is going to be an exciting. I'm happy to see this, because after game 1, Ant didn't look healthy. Ant didn't look right. It was really concerning. This was a game where, like, Ant's defense, by the way, a couple of big blocks. Yeah. Had a chase down block on Hardaway in transition. Like, there's some key plays there as well defensively. I thought, like, this had me going like, yes, this is the series we're hoping for. This is what we with the excitement we wanted. So I think that's going to be pretty big going forward with where they're at. I think we're in for a long series.
I think so, and I'm very happy about it.
Yes, we long series are the best. They're fun. They're fun to watch. Any last thoughts here before we move to the other game?
No, I think that's it, and let's take a quick break before we talk about Knicks-Hawks.
You're so good at this, and I'm not today. And we're back, folks, because Jared, again, smartly pointing out we needed to take more breaks. Knicks-Hawks. I just want to start this off from the top. That might have been one of the most poorly coached games I've seen from Mike Brown. Whew. I'm just going to start with, I did the video on offside. Why is he not staggering Cat and Brunson?
So I have a lot to say about this. They were using that lineup toward the end of the season, and toward the end of the season, it actually worked pretty well. In Game 1, it worked pretty well. The first stint in Game 2 was an absolute epic disaster to the point where they had to bring Alvarado in for a minute and a half because they couldn't get into their offense at all with Deuce and Shamet and Clarkson running things. They had to bring Alvarado in for Shamet, and they got, I think, 3 points total in that stint with both guys off the court. Disaster. Going back to it in the fourth quarter was malpractice, even though Alvarado was out there. That said, the Knicks were still up by 9 when Brunson and Towns checked back into the game, and they still collapsed down the stretch. They only had the lead cut by 3 points during that fourth quarter stretch, even though I thought that they shouldn't have had that lineup out there. You got to have one of those two guys in the game.
It just doesn't make sense. I get it in the regular season, okay, and it worked in the regular season. It worked in Game 1, great. You got away with it in Game 1 is the way I would look at it.
Yes.
In that sense. Whereas in Game 2, after the first stint, it should have been dead.
Yep.
Should have been, we're not doing that again. In the we always talk about it. Your minutes go up in the playoffs. Your minutes go up in the playoffs. It's because of things like, because you're shortening your rotation. You're changing lineups where these guys, your best players, are always going to be on the floor. It wasn't that they gave up, only cutting the lead by 3 points, but it gave the Hawks a level of confidence and momentum that I think they carried with them the entire quarter, and it didn't allow the Knicks to put them away, which then allowed the Hawks back into this game. And I think that's the first one. The second problem I had with this, and this is mainly just fourth quarter stuff, his timeout usage.
Before you go to that, you said that they had a chance to really put them away to start the fourth quarter. They had a chance to really put them away to start the second quarter, too. And instead, it's a 1-point game when those guys come back in.
Yeah. You can't. You have to recognize that stuff. Your staff has to recognize, hey, don't play that lineup in the second half. They don't have it today, whatever it is. But then it's his timeout usage, which I was flabbergasted by. So I think they were up 1. It was 199. They have the ball with 3:16 left. They have the use it or lose it timeout. This would be a great time to use that timeout, run a set play to give your team more of a lead. They don't. End up getting just some randomly bad shot. Get lucky. CJ turns the ball over. Mikal Bridges with a great steal off of this pass that CJ's trying to make. Gets it. Now they're under 3 minutes, so that timeout's gone. Brunson's attacking. Looks like he has a step on his guy. At the very least, he has a kick out to OG for a 3. And Mike Brown's calling a timeout. Mike Brown called the timeout. Everybody thought the referee called the foul when they blew the whistle.
Yeah.
Everybody had put their hands up. Yeah, they were like, what are you doing? I didn't touch him. And they're like, no, but that's not the call. That's not the deal. It was a timeout. And then out of the timeout, what do they run? They run an inverse Hart-Brunson pick and roll, which the Hawks played it perfectly defensively, forced an OG jump ball turnover sort of situation. And then you've burned one of your last 2 timeouts, which you needed at the very end of the game. I don't think coaches appreciate the last 2 timeouts you really need to save. And for him to use that first one with 2:43 left in the game, to just and not run run your most amazing play at that point out of the timeout. And you just run, an inverted pick and roll, which is something you probably could have gotten into without a timeout. Like, I'm just kind of like, I was flabbergasted. I was in real time when he called that timeout. I was just like, what are you doing?
I will say this finally got me to understand the concept of the use it or lose it timeout after 15 years covering the league, where I talked about this on when I was on Dunked On earlier this season. I admitted to Nate that I don't fully understand the use it or lose it timeout. This finally got me to understand what happens and why you lose it.
This is when to use it. Get yourself organized and also set yourself up for the next couple minutes, the next 2 minutes. You don't have to use another timeout. It was pretty blatantly bad coaching to me. And I was like, man, this is bad. Like, you got to be better than that, Mike.
There was some confusion on the last possession because the broadcast graphic said that the Knicks had a timeout left, and Noah Eagle said multiple times that the Knicks had a timeout left. But then while Bridges was dribbling the ball up the court for that last shot, Noah Eagle corrected himself and said that the Knicks didn't have a timeout left. And it's because of the use it or lose it timeout that everybody got confused. So that was not great either. That said, Bridges had half a step on, I think it was Jalen Johnson. Mm-hmm. You got to go to the basket. I know He doesn't go to the basket anymore since he got to the Knicks. Make him feel you on that drive so you can get a 12-footer instead of a 19-footer, or you can get to the rim and get fouled, or make a layup for the first time in ever. Like,
I'll tell you who was happy he didn't do it. C.J. McCollum, who went from being the scapegoat to being the hero because of his performance down the stretch.
Speaking of that, it's sacrilegious here in New York to say this. You got to put a big piece of the blame for this game on Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Got absolutely roasted on defense. First when he was guarding CJ straight up during the first portion of the game. Then when he was guarding Dakhil and they were getting switches for CJ and for Jalen Johnson and for whoever else. He gets a 3-hit over him by Dakhil in, I think, the second quarter too, when he got a switch onto him at one point. And then the offense down the stretch was just all Jalen Brunson ISO all the time. They're walking the ball up the court. They're initiating every set from a foot over half court, not able to get the pocket passes to Hart, not getting Towns involved at all, not getting Bridges involved at all. Like, why does Mikal Bridges just have to sit in the corner and not be involved in the offense whatsoever? Why does Towns have to sit in the corner and not be involved in the offense whatsoever? Just because Towns isn't being guarded by the center doesn't mean you're not allowed to use him as the screener. That goes on Mike Brown, and it goes on Jalen Brunson. He was taking every single shot down the stretch, initiating the entire offense down the stretch. Why can't Bridges bring the ball up the court? Why can't Hart bring the ball up the court? Why can't you get Brunson going somewhere off the ball so you get him with a little bit of momentum and somebody chasing him away from the ball instead of just trying to initiate from a foot over half court the entire time? Like, some of this has to fall on his shoulders. A big portion of it, I think, has to fall on his shoulders on both ends of the court.
Yeah, there's no notes there. I want to first go to what you're saying offensively, because that's my biggest complaint with this game, besides all my Mike Brown stuff, was just, it was almost like, okay, we just have to go at a Kongwu. That's the only guy we could attack on this. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's...
You know what it looked like? It looked like last year.
Yeah, it did. It was 100%. That offense at the end of the game was a completely Tibbs, we're just going to put it in Brunson's hands, he'll take us home. It's frustrating when you look at it with the way, why aren't they using Bridges a little bit more, a little bit differently? Like, my thing is, pair him with Cat when Brunson goes to the bench and let Bridges have the ball in his hands a bit. You gave up 5 picks for him. Maybe, like, try to use him in that regard. And maybe, Jared, then he'll start going to the basket a little bit more and then start kind of being that guy. I'm going to save the CJ thing because I have one note about that. There's one other guy to blame with the CJ thing, and I'm gonna touch on that in a second. But offensively too, like with Cat, Cat can't disappear. You can't let Cat disappear. Cool, they're going to use Dyson Daniels to guard Cat. Cool. Well, they're going to use Kuminga to guard Cat, and we're going to talk about Kuminga in a second, Hawks fans, so everybody relax. Put him in the action. Run double pick and roll. Like, what a concept. Run a double high pick and roll. Create confusion a little bit and make their jobs a little easier. It is frustrating that down the stretch, it does just kind of sort of turn into, all right, Brunson's going to take over. And some nights it's great. He hits those shots. He's been and clutch. A few weeks ago against the Hawks in the regular season, right? Step for step. That's part of why we picked the Knicks. They wouldn't be able to compete with Brunson shot for shot all series long. They did it in a game. Can they do that all series? I think we'll see more focus on that. I hope they do. Defensively, down the stretch, he got completely cooked by CJ.
Yeah.
Completely. And the one where he had
that switch. Stop giving them the switch.
I can't. I said this on Zach Lowe's podcast. I can't understand why we're this far in this part of the switch era of the NBA that we still feel like we can't we have to switch everything. Like it's in the rule book almost, you know? And it's like at the same time, like why haven't any of these guys studied what Steph has done? Steph does a great job showing really hard on screens and recovering back. Now, granted, he has Draymond usually in that action, who's one of the best defenders we've had. But like, I think it just drives me insane how willingly teams concede switches. Like, just no problem. We'll just give it up over and over again. It is fascinating to me with that. But they keep doing it. He almost fell when CJ rocked him with the in between the legs, then left to right crossover as he goes in the lane and then finishes over Cat. Like, I get so frustrated watching that stuff from them. But the other guy I'm going to blame Jose Alvarado. He triggered CJ. And, like, everybody wants to say, oh, CJ's not a villain, this and that. Nah, dude, like, you guys all, first off, the fans were all booing him after the play. Alvarado gets an offensive foul called, then starts chirping at CJ, their teammates. They go chest to chest, which was really cute, because these are the two, like, guys I wouldn't expect to fight. It was really cute. Get a double technical, and then CJ's like taunting the crowd, and then the crowd starts going, you know, and then F you CJ, like all that stuff and things like that. And then everybody wants to tell us that he's not a villain when he comes on, hits the baseline jumper over OG to give them the go-ahead lead. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, this was pretty impressive stuff that they did. Like, now granted, if he missed the free throws, I mean, he did miss the free throws. If Bridges makes the shot, it's a whole different story for CJ. But you know, then we're pulling out the I'm trying Jennifer pictures all over again. But I felt like Alvarado activated him. And I think it was actually enough to kind of just piss off the Hawks enough to get going.
I will say the booing was probably because he kicked Brunson in the nuts in game one. And said that he was a flopper, even though he got kicked squarely in the nuts. Yeah,
that was wrong of CJ to call him a flopper. Like, just be like, yeah, man, my bad. I didn't mean, that was my bad.
Not that Brunson is above flopping, but he certainly did not do it there.
Not on that one. Not on that one. But I think ultimately, too, like, this was a tough, this was a bad loss for the Knicks. And I think this was a great.
It's a horrendous loss for the Knicks.
But it was a great win for the Hawks. Because I think you saw just kind of the toughness of this Hawks team that we've sort of seen all year. Not a great. Jalen Johnson's been fine, but not been great.
I really don't think he's been fine, to be honest with you. I think Josh Hart has kind of eaten his lunch through the first two games.
Okay.
Hart has been the best player on the court for the Knicks.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Nikhil Alexander-Walker didn't shoot it well, was great defensively. That strip on Brunson, when he went up for that turnaround that led to the Johnson dunk to put them up 2 scores, was crazy impressive. Yeah. But I think the other thing too was we got to talk about Jonathan Kuminga's game, because he was awesome on both ends of the floor. And I think if they can get that consistently from him, that's the Jonathan Kuminga everybody wants to see.
Yeah, but we've been saying that about Kuminga for his entire career. If they can get that consistently from him, that's the Jonathan Kuminga everybody wants to see. I also think even though he was good defensively, that doesn't mean you can't attack him with Karl-Anthony Towns.
Oh, yeah. we said it earlier. Like, go at him. Don't be afraid of him.
Or
Look,
get a
Karl-Anthony
switch onto
Towns.
Brunson. Like, what do you think he's just going to guard Brunson in isolation every single time? I don't think so.
Yeah, just go to work. Go to work. Like, really, like, that's the thing you got to be on top of. I don't know, but, like, I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah.
With the way he played. Big block on OG down the stretch. He had a big defensive rebound. Obviously, the run out for a dunk that started the 11-0 run for them. It was just an impressive performance. It's one where you could say, like, you're the Hawks, like, all right, we might have something here. Let's see what we can get going with him and see where this works. I'm excited for Game 3 because I think they're going to really make the effort to get Jalen Johnson going.
You have to. You can't win like more games in this series if your best player is not playing well offensively. Like he needs to be the engine of that offense. You can't count on CJ going for 29, 30 points in every game. Like even in this one, they only had a 112 offensive rating. Like you need to be better than that.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna see that. Whether that leads to a win, I don't know, but like that's where I think we're most interested in that. Any more notes from this game?
No, I think that's it for me.
Okay. We're going to talk real quickly about the games tonight. One game is just phenomenally. I'm so fascinated to see the Orlando-Detroit game. I want to see how Detroit responds to getting punched in the mouth as the 1 seed. I was so impressed with Orlando. Like, our punching bag.
Yeah.
I've beaten up on them so much, but was so impressed with their offense. Like I rewatched their offense on Monday, like just really impressed with the way they got to their actions, how well they played. Was a little bit flabbergasted by how poorly the Pistons defended in that game and the mistakes they made. What are you expecting in this game?
I'm expecting the Pistons to come out much more physically and much more forceful than they played in Game 1. Like we talked about it on Monday. The Magic did Pistons things better than the Pistons did, and that can't happen. So I'm expecting Detroit to come out playing with much more force and much more physicality and sort of exert its will on the game.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think we're going to see a lot more fight from them. We might see a fight from them. I think a little bit. I think this is going to be a game that's also going to be really ugly.
Yeah, you know who it's going to be in the fight? It's going to be Isaiah Stewart and Desmond Bane.
Yep, I promise you, I was thinking that those were the two guys I think. Although don't sleep on Duren, but the most important thing for me if you're Detroit is you have to get Jalen Duren involved.
Yeah,
you got to get him going. And to the credit, the Magic, the way they defended, the way they were going to let Cade cook. And we're gonna stop everybody else. And sure enough, that was. But like they have to find like Bickerstaff had better have like a script of like 5 straight of their favorite Duren actions because they need to get him going as much as possible. If he no shows this game, they're really gonna have problems.
Yeah, get him the ball more often in pick and rolls, which they didn't really do in Game 1. Get him some creation opportunities from the nail against Wendell Carter and Goga Batadze and see if he could beat those guys off the dribble. He did a much better job of creating for himself off the dribble this year than in previous seasons. You got to figure out a way. Like, he can't have, 8 points?
Yeah, he only had like 4 shots or something, right? Like, it was something weird like that. Like, I never felt his presence on offense. I felt him on defense a little bit, but I never felt his presence on offense. And I think that's the game. Way too much Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
And you need way more Duren.
You can't have 15 shots to Tobias for 4 for Duren. And granted, some of those are just the Magic leaving Tobias open in the corner for 3 and probably doesn't go 1 for 7 on corner threes again. He's been a good corner shooter throughout his career, but you don't want that many possessions ending in his hands rather than your second best player's hands.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of it's just a problem, dude. Like you just got to find a way to get Duren going. Anything from the Magic you expect to see or want to see?
I want to see them keep going to those deep Paolo post-ups early in the clock. I thought that was really key for them offensively. He got a couple of fadeaways over the top. He got a couple of nice drives to the rim, and he had a couple of really nice passes there. Found Anthony Black cutting along the baseline one time, and he found Wendell Carter with the sort of hook pass over the top of Cade and Duren.
Yeah. I think the one thing I want to see from them is I don't want to see any sort of satisfaction that they got one win.
Satisfaction?
Bad word, not a word. I don't want them to feel satisfied that they got the. I'm tired, Jared. Okay, man, I've been getting up super early these past few days. It's I've only on 2 cups of tea at this point. I think the thing I want to see though is I don't want them to let down. Mm-hmm. Be greedy. Go after this one. Act like you're down 0-1. Go after this win because this could break the Pistons. If you can win this game, you can go up 2-0 heading to Orlando, and that's going to be the deal. And one's game 3, like Saturday. So you got to, if you're Detroit, you got to sit with this
long break
Thursday and Friday into Saturday and just hear the nonstop chatter. Oh, are they like that's what you want to put that pressure on them. You can't come out flat. If you come out and get your ass kicked, like then everybody's going to be looking going like, yo, so the game 1 was more of a one-off. And this is really who you are because this is who you've been all season. I want to see them come out with a fire in their belly, kind of the way they did game 1.
Yeah. I will say another schedule-related complaint from me. What else is new? I hate how the 1-8 series are both game 3 on Saturday and the 3-6 series are both game 4. Like, you can't have these series a game ahead of the other series. I don't like it.
He doesn't like it. He's upset. Not happy. Not happy. Let's talk about the other 1-8 series. Oklahoma City versus Phoenix tonight. I know there's not a lot to talk about. I'm just going to say this. If you're OKC, and this is kind of what I expect, you need to come out and lay the hammer to start the game, to just be like, don't look at these other teams that everybody thought didn't have a chance and went and got some wins. Don't look at us thinking you're going to go do that to us. Don't think that. They need to come out and just lay the smackdown right off the bat.
I would agree with that. I also think Dylan Brooks is going to try to fight somebody. That's really the only thing I have to say about this.
Every day that ends in a Y. Like, that's just like what he's going to try to be Dylan the villain and be annoying or whatnot. I don't think anybody in OKC is going to fall for that trap.
Maybe Lou Dort.
Maybe. I don't think so. I even don't think that. They're all Canadians. I don't know if they, like, if there's a thing where it's like we don't fight other Canadians. I don't know. Except in hockey. Hockey's a whole different world for me. In that stuff. All right, I'm getting loopy at this point. I think we have one more bit to talk about. Real quick. Was announced yesterday. Billy Donovan, no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He's stepping away. It's one of the few times I've seen a coach not take the team option. The team put out a statement going like, we wanted him to stay. And him going like, after some discussions, I said, I'm out. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly when the Bulls fired the rest of the front office, where he said that he wanted to have conversations with ownership about the direction of the team and how it was very similar to what was said at the end of his Oklahoma City tenure. And clearly he thinks the Bulls are actually going to rebuild, and he doesn't want to deal with that, and he would probably rather go coach some team that is more competitive.
So my sneaky suspicion is he already knows where he's going or has an inkling of where he's going to go, because you don't leave money on the table in that instance. I think I floated a conspiracy theory. I'm going to do it now. I'm not a guy that dabbles too much into conspiracy theories. But But if Steve Kerr were to leave the Warriors, Kevin O'Connor reported they'd have a lot of interest in Todd Golden, who the head coach of the University of Florida, who was apparently close with the Lacob family, coached at University of San Francisco, so there are ties there. I was like, oh, does Billy Donovan thinking he's going to get to return home? Like, we had that dalliance a little bit with UNC. Like, maybe all of a sudden he's feeling the love for college hoops again, and maybe that's it. That's my conspiracy theory. I don't know if I'm the Warriors, if I'm like, I'm going to give a college coach a chance to coach Steph Curry. But, like, there's something fishy about this. Like, he knows where he's going is my thing.
Probably. Like you always say, like people always say, you don't fire your coach without knowing who your next coach is, but you definitely don't turn down guaranteed money if you don't know where your paycheck is coming from.
Yeah. It's not like, because he didn't say I'm retiring. I'm done coaching basketball. He's like, no, I'm out. I'm done here.
Right.
So I just think there's something up. We should mention Taylor Jenkins interviewed for the job in Memphis. Milwaukee. Eric Nehm had reported that. I think that's going to be the hire. Like that's kind of been the expectation for a while.
Yeah.
Taylor was an assistant there with Budenholzer. He wasn't there when they won the championship, though, right? He had already left for Memphis.
I'm pretty sure he was already in Memphis.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think some familiarity there. Be interesting to see what other coaching news we get and sort of rumors and whatnot. A lot of coaches I'm surprised are staying. Brian Keefe, Dawkins had already said he's staying. It seems like Christie's going to stay in Sacramento, which is like both like I don't get it, Sacramento. You literally threw him under the bus and called him incompetent to avoid any sort of trouble with tanking, and everybody believed it. Yeah. Like from the beginning, we're like, yeah. And by the way, I believe it. Like I think he's just not a good coach, but whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see how the coaching carousel sort of flies around a bit.
Definitely.
No. I think that's it. Nothing else? Nothing's popped off in the last, since we've been potting?
I haven't checked, so hopefully not.
I'm looking. I don't see anything. I think we're in the good. I think we're good. All right, my man. This has been a great time. We're going to be back late Sunday night. Pod will be up early Monday morning. Thank you for listening to the Double Dribble Podcast.
See y'all.